Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you could see it and you could purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing the Breitling Aviator 8 Chronograph 43 from a collection born as the Navitimer 8 in early 2018. I have it from high authority at Breitling that the original name of this collection was supposed to be Aviator in honor of the 1930s Huit Aviation division in Breitling, a pre-Navitimer aviation heritage of the brand. But at the last minute, for name recognition reasons, this line was launched as Navitimer 8, leaving everyone scratching their heads because this watch certainly is not a Navitimer. That said, it is an Aviator. And at 43 millimeters in stainless steel, this Aviator wears agreeably on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. It's not thick. At 14.2 millimeters, it will slide under a cuff, especially because the bezel itself is nicely rounded at its edge. One of the initiatives under new Breitling CEO Georges Kern has been to cut down the span of Breitling lugs, so even larger watches will wear on smaller wrists. Mission accomplished here, both in the shape, which is nicely downturned and short cropped, and the distance, which is 50.6 millimeters from lug to lug. The watch has a nice contemporary 23 millimeter spacing between the lugs, so the planted stance on the wrist looks very much of our era, even as the design cues are drawn from the 30s. Now, the strap is of higher grade than you would expect on an aviation-themed watch. As aviators generally get calfskin, this is alligator leather. Large rectangular scale, the most expensive kind. Matte finish, so not too shiny. This is in good taste. There's a contrasting stitch a la aviation watches, and you can see it has a little bit of an ecru simulated aged coloration to it for a warmer tone. There is a sheer-sided construction. You can see the layers of fabrication of the leather, and there is plenty of leather, though the strap's not bolstered, and there's a wonderful buttery saddle brown calfskin on the underside. You can see that there is a full deployment clasp on this model, and it is a twin trigger release, so plenty of security against accidental deployment thanks to the twin triggers. You also appreciate that there is a contrasting satin finish and a polish on the flank that nicely echoes the design of the lugs. This is a design parallelism that I adore. And you'll also note that the lugs themselves, because they're somewhat squared off and down tucked, do wrap around the wrist. So even if you're borderline to wear this watch, it's not like the lugs are going to flare out dramatically and awkwardly as they would on something like an IWC Big Pilot. You'll note that the bezel itself is all of high polish, and an important change for 2019. Frankly, I never understood why Breitling equipped these watches in the first model year with an uncalibrated bezel, but anyway, the issue has been resolved for this model year. As you can see, there are now lacquered calibrations against which you can read either the minute hand or the hour hand for a concurrent timing instrument alongside the chronograph itself. And there is a Teflon-like smoothness to the movement of this bezel. It must slide on some sort of a Teflon bushing because it is incredibly smooth. It's a pleasure just to play with this bezel. It's as satisfying as operating a fine column wheel chronograph, which, by the way, this watch is. More on that in a moment. Now, the dial is a metallic sunburst gray, slate gray, and the tone-on-tone coloration with black registers on a slate dial, that is Breitling's new design language to communicate an in-house caliber. When you have a monotone dial, customer caliber. When you have a tone-on-tone dial, in-house caliber. Now, there's a flange-like Rayhaut outboard with calibrations allowing you to read minutes, seconds, and fractions of second. You have black polished hands at center, including the B counterweighted red varnished chronograph seconds hand. There is an applique red gold Breitling B logo, now without wings. Breitling has shed its wings because Georges Kern wants you to think of it as a land, sea, and air sports company. And then there are small registers for the individual counters, and they are mini railroad tracks. You'll even appreciate the fact that the countersunk registers add another focal plane to the dial, and you have a date that does not replace an index or a numeral, which I find to be a nice balanced approach to a date on a dial. A new feature, rarely seen under Schneider family direction, but increasingly common under Georges Kern, a display caseback. And it's a good thing too, because the Breitling B01 Chronograph is a gorgeous chronograph movement. You can see the column wheel itself and its levers and horns interacting. The column wheel is black polished. There is Côte de Genève across the bridges, the 47 jewel movement, a vertical clutch column wheel chronograph, so you get the crispness of column wheel actuation. And I will let you hear the column wheel because it sounds as good as it feels. This is no cam chronograph right here. This is push or feel as good as a Rolex 4130 Daytona or a Lange Datograph or Zenith El Primero 400. We need to discuss it in that company. Automatic winding, 72-hour or 3-day power reserve. It features both stop seconds and a quick set date. There's a screw down crown for water resistance, 100 meters. The movement beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It is adjusted in 5 positions and it is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer. So this is a movement with all of the modern standards, an impressive aesthetic, crisp actuation, plenty of water resistance, so even if you are a seaplane pilot, you're good to go with this aviator. See it and make it yours on the watch box. And I'm back with the Breitling Aviator 8 Chronograph 43 by night.